This
Let's see,
conference will
Selena.
now be recorded.
Cool.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'll call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for the City of Lago Vista, meeting on March 10th, 2021 at 6:31 p.m. and we're starting our meeting. I'll do a call of the roll. If everyone could confirm that you're here. I'll confirm myself, Karen Van Ness, Chair. Irene Muzak, Vice Chair.
Here.
Salima Harbison. I don't see Salima on yet.
Salima's not. Salima just texted me. She should be on here in a minute.
Okay, super. Okay, we'll note once Salima joins then. Shad Pellizzari, our secretary.
I'm present.
Here. Thank you. Darnell Powell.
Present.
Thanks, Darnell. Yeah, he's keeping himself on mute. Sounds noisy where you are. Deanna Roberts.
Yeah, middle school track and field meet.
Oh, okay. Deanna's here. Chris Mobley.
Yes, I'm here.
Chris is here. Good. All right, we've got oh, there's Salima. Hi, Salima.
You also never called me. I never said here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Darcy. Darcy is
okay.
here. Thank you.
Thank
Darcy Duval is here. And Shalane Marion, our city council liaison, is actually on the city council meeting that's running concurrent to ours, the special meeting that was called. So Chris and I told her we'd update her, you know, tomorrow or Friday latest on our meeting. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera here. Okay, well, good. So let's get started. We also have, we've got an action item that I want to get through, and then I wanted kind of as a point of order to move our agenda items around a little bit. We have Denise Sellers here from KLVB. Shalane had invited her to speak with us about potential kind of update on what KLVB are doing, but also potential avenues for cooperation and collaboration. So I had kind of listed things in order of kind of where we were collecting them for agenda items, and I had Denise at number 7. But Denise, if you like, we'll move you up a little bit so that you can do your thing, and then if you care to jump off, you have that opportunity. So one of the first things I wanted to do is on action items is to take care of these damn meeting minutes from last year. So I think y'all share. Yeah, we spent some time, first of all, trying to, let me say this, I was unaware that minutes had not been turned in or processed appropriately. Kind of oblivious to it because Patricia Nixon did a great job of recording the minutes and then providing them. So it was kind of Patricia and our previous chair, David White, who took care of them. So I, no idea. I know I reviewed them when Patricia provided them to all of us prior to our meeting so we could vote on them. So anyways, then we were able to bug Patricia to get what she had, and Sandy sent what she had, and David had provided the binder of minutes already to Sandra. Anyway, so I apologize for the confusion on the minutes. It shouldn't be this hard, right? But anyways, we've got the following meeting minutes that need to be formally approved so that we can go ahead and get them processed appropriately. From June 19th, 2019, November 11th, 2020, December 9th, 2020, our January 13th, 2021 meeting, February 18, 2020, and then the meeting that we just had, Shad had just sent out the minutes, and thank you, Shad, for doing those, because I know it's difficult. We weren't aware that there was a recording of those. So we've got those sets of meeting minutes. They were all sent out to you guys. You got a couple of extra ones too, a couple that had already been processed and approved and posted. Anyways, if you've had a chance to review them and feel comfortable voting on the minutes, then let's go ahead and get that done and get that action item out of the way.
I would make a motion for that.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. I have a second by Irene. Okay, so basically we're making a motion to go ahead and approve the meeting minutes that I just listed. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
If you're a nay,
All right.
please raise your hand so we can see.
Nay, can I tell you why? I went and looked at all the meetings, and I went and also looked at all the video. And so unless I could watch a video, I wasn't going to say that your minutes matched up to those videos. I think that's really deceiving to do to people that are new to the committee. I watched all the videos that I possibly could of last year, and then there was no more. And so I read also all the minutes that I could, and the only ones that I could agree upon were your October meeting, where it actually says December online, your December meeting, or your November meeting, your December meeting, January and February. So that's the only ones I could actually watch to see if they match up to your wording.
Okay, well, so we've got enough votes to pass this motion and approve the meeting
Okay.
minutes. So from a process standpoint, they're done, they're approved. We don't have to deal with any more. Darcy, I do want to acknowledge your concern. I also shared that concern on having you guys who are new to the committee having to process and comment on and vote on meeting minutes for meetings that you never attended. You know, I don't think that's fair, but in the interest of the city wanting to have a full record and have it the ability to post those like we should be. So it's a process issue, but so noted as far as your concerns. So I totally get where you're coming from. So, okay, well, good. Now we have a second action item on the agenda around confirming a schedule for a planning meeting or workshop. I will come back to that action item when we actually get to that item and can discuss it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So anyways, we'll move on to our discussion items for tonight. Now, our first discussion item is a parks update from Chris. But I did want to ask Denise. Denise, would you like to go ahead and go first? Or would you like to hear Chris's update, just so you're informed about what's going on? Then we'll have you talk to us about KLVB directly after Chris's update. Which do you prefer? And you're on mute right now in case you just have to click your microphone to unmute. Okay. Denise, can you hear me? Okay, well, let's wait and see if, oh, there's
Sorry,
Denise.
can you hear me?
Yes, we
Sorry,
can
I
now.
was finishing up my supper and I didn't want y'all to see me eating or hear me crunching.
Well, it's up to you. Would you like to hear the parks update from Chris and then go so you can finish your dinner?
Yeah, let me hear what he has to say and then I'll be ready to give my spiel. My food will be finished going down my throat.
Okay, that sounds
Go
great. Okay, well, good. Well, Chris, I'll turn it over to you for our update on parks and programs.
All right, yeah, what I'm going to go over is our Parks and Recreation monthly report for February. The first thing I did was met with Strategic Government Resources to get input on the city manager search. I met with Lago Vista United Baseball to discuss usage of the fields. They're actually practicing on these the last 2 weeks. It's good to see kids out there practicing on the field. So
Yeah.
Gave a tour of the city facilities, the councilman Marion and interim city manager Chan, so they would have an idea. Took them out to the park, let them see some of the things we've got going on. I think it was very beneficial for them to actually see the park, and had some comments about, well, it's just not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So it's good to get people out there so they can see and understand. I've had quite a few on this board right here that have been out there and have taken interest in, and we really appreciate y'all coming out there. We trimmed the trees at the pickleball courts. If you've been out there before, the golf range is real close to the pickleball courts. We've been getting a lot more golfers and we're getting a lot more balls on the pickleball courts. So we actually had to trim the tree, and we're as soon as I can get the lift back, the Public Works has been using the lift a lot to pick up from what happened in the park last couple of days or couple of weeks. Going to put a net up there and see if we can prevent some of those balls going in there. So that's one of the things we're working on. Met with the committee members for our beautification project on 1431. So we've met with a group that are trying to give us some masonry work and have an idea of what that major piece will be. We met with them and we should be receiving something back from them in the next couple days. So that's exciting. Met with representatives of flag football. They're going to start May 1. So that'll be another usage on the field. We also have been in contact with someone that wants to put the first tournament on. We haven't got quite all the details yet, but they're looking at trying to do a softball tournament on May the 16th. So again, we're moving, we're getting people use it. That's exciting.
It is.
Attended the Parks Recreation Advisory Council meeting. That's part of what we did. Attended the KLBB monthly meeting. Got one tomorrow with Denise. I met with Brian Everett from the YMCA about summer pool operations. So hopefully they'll run our summer pool operations for us. And then we spent a good part of a couple weeks assessing the damage and cleaning up after the ice storm. Chris and I were out chopping down trees and hauling stuff out. The park did fairly well on that. We lost a lot of trees inside the trail. We spent a good couple days clearing the trail. So we had some water leaks in the pool. That's the kind of damage we had there. But overall, the parks survived fairly well. So that's kind of what the report is on for February.
Awesome.
Great. Okay, thanks, Chris. The other thing I wanted to ask about the Overlook Park.
Yes, ma'am.
And just the status on that, because I know we've been asked to comment on that, and we've had some emails that were sent back. We had a few questions that were answered, but what's the status on that?
Well, what had happened was what we originally submitted to TxDOT is what our plan was. None of it we could do. We couldn't build parking lots. We couldn't have a charging station. So before Josh left, he said, I need you to take this project over. So we reformed a committee. We've met a couple times. Once I get a preliminary design for what we're looking at, I'd like to take it back to you and you guys and say, okay, this is sort of what we're looking at. That will definitely be by next meeting. You know, I got a hold of TxDOT, and the person who was working with us quit. And so I wanted to get with them and say, we're still interested. We got a committee going. We're meeting. We're going to get a design. And just to make sure that we're not too slow where we're going to lose our money. And they said that's fine. They don't plan on hiring somebody until April. So we're good there. By next meeting, we'll be able to present you something, an idea of what we'd like this to see. What do I like this to look like?
Now, what is this for again?
It was a $35,000 grant that KLB and the city got for, was it the governor's award, Denise? And you can spend it on a beautification project on a right of way of 1431. So the property that we picked is right when you come into the city, right past the trailer park. If you go by there, it's a nice piece of property, and it's basically you're coming into Lago Vista and let's welcome you from there, as opposed to getting down to the corner of
where the light is. Yeah.
There are some restrictions. They don't want you to build a monument sign, but you can have some kind of thing that lets you know that you are in Lago Vista. The committees work together on some of the things we want to do is just a nice stone structure, something that denotes Lago Vista, something it's solar because we don't have electric gather, solar so you can light it up, and a water retention area so we can gather water to be able to water the landscaping that we have there. So that's kind of where we're at. Definitely I'll have something to you for y'all to look at by next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sounds good.
Karen, do you want to talk about the park that was talked about at the city council? Did anybody watch it? I know Darcy was there, and you were there, Chris.
I just got finished watching it.
Yeah.
And
I was wondering why we never saw the plans for the bathroom bids before it went to the city council. I don't think 2 toilets is enough for the size of our park.
Well, it's not just the bids, it's the design as well, Irene, to your point.
Yes, yes. And then they were talking about how there was certain money set aside just for the bathrooms, and then they don't know why it wasn't put in the book or something. Did you understand that, Darcy?
Yes, what happened was, I guess, and this goes back to a video that I saw of Chris tell all of you and thanks in October that the city had approved a $360 or $300,000 line item for bathrooms. Now, it never got put into the budget. So somewhere along the ride, someone told Chris something that didn't go into the budget that city council have no idea about it. And also it goes back to also that phase 2 has not gone out for a bid yet. And so I'm perplexed that Chris has been telling us that phase 2 is going to be done before end of spring when it hasn't gone out for a bid yet. So I'm a little perplexed about that as well. But the bathrooms, what the city says, they have to go line by line now on everything and see where this is coming from, because the first phase 1 is spent. That money's supposedly gone. So they want to see that. And then phase 2, somewhere along the line, they wanted to take out this new $211,000 that's the lower bid out of that phase 2, which that hasn't even gone to bid, and that kind of made
Well,
nervous.
yeah, they have to answer those bids by the 18th. So
Yes,
it's going to fall through the cracks. I don't think they're going to get a bid that soon.
Correct. Exactly. And that, I think Eric's online right now. I don't know if he's joining us or if he's in the other meeting, but I guess, because there's a 45-day, I've watched the video 3 times now and I attended it just to get this wording right. I guess once you put in the thing for a contract or a bid, which we opened our bids up in February 2nd, which none of us had even seen the design for the bathrooms at all, but it went to bid. And then once it went to bid, once you open that up, you have 45 days to say yes or no to the contracts. And that contract is going to be due on the 18th of February or the 18th of March. So those contracts might fall to the wayside, and Eric might have to go back to the drawing table again. And also to get our input, I just wanted to let you know, the library is completely redesigning the library, okay? They're having an interior designer, they have an architect, they have $770,000 on the table to get this done, and their committee is full blown in on the design work. And so I really feel like if we're going to be a good committee, we should be involved in it as well. I think we're all smart enough and can understand enough that, you know, like Irene just said, 1 or 2 bathrooms, which is going to be in the parking lot. And I understand there's going to be the other bathroom once the concession stand's made. But from what I understood, that this building was going to be modular. And so if need be, it could be moved. But if it's going by the parking lot, I don't even know the placement of it. And that's what was so kind of confusing. It's like, I would like to see the map of where this bathroom's going, what the bathroom has to look like. How are we getting running water to it? How do you
the thing I was upset about was that they haven't gotten the approval to have septic yet.
Yes.
And that's what they're planning to do. How can you do it before you have the approval for it?
Yes. And that to me was kind of and to a couple of other city council members was a good point, you know, because it's like, what if you put this bathroom here, but you have to bring the septic over here and it's 850 feet to get a drain line now to your bathroom. So why would you have your building here and 850 feet to a drain line for a septic system, because that has to be on a, it's supposed to be some kind of decline to your septic.
Chris, I was wondering, is there any formula that is used to determine how many bathroom stalls in a, park? Do they go by acreage or by number of people? To me, 2 stalls is ridiculous. I mean, the All Abilities Park, which is a lot smaller than what ours is going to be, has 8 stalls, 4 and 4. And they have benches and big changing tables. And I was hoping our park would be like the All Abilities Park. That's the only All Abilities Park for Williamston. I was hoping we would be the only All Abilities Park for Travis County.
Well, I can look and see on National Recreation Parks and Association about how many, what we're saying bathrooms should be, probably per fields that you have. I bet that's what that would be. But I'm gonna just make a little bit of a guess that the restroom that they have out there would far exceed the money that we have for that right now.
I know, but isn't there, couldn't we, we're supposed to be putting together that foundation, to raise money. Would it be impractical to have, porta potties until, or would that take too long? What do you think, Chris?
I think that would take a long time. I would expect people to think that if they're coming to the park, that porta potties are a temporary thing and they're not
Well,
something.
yeah, they would, but I would like at least 8 stalls somewhere, not 2.
Yeah.
I understand that. Will there be any type of planning going forward with that building so that more stalls are added later?
And I don't know that it's down in anything, but in conversations we had, like Darcy said, we were going to add a bigger restroom facility when we do the concession stands between the fields, like you'll see at most places. It was actually my decision, with Eric and Josh, to say I would rather get the bathroom sooner than later, because you can only keep the porta potties out there for so long.
Okay.
So that
Well,
was.
the financing, the money, so they're saying it has to come out of the phase 2. Darcy, is that what you said? For this bathroom now instead of phase 1?
I believe that's what the mayor was saying. He was trying to calculate some stuff, and phase 2 kind of was, so much of it was already spoken for. And he was kind of trying to calculate something, and then he came up with another $85,000. And they want to bring it back and see all the financials on this park. And so I don't know who's putting that all together. I'm sure it might be Star, since she's head of the, but Josh used to be the one that did our CIP and all that. So I don't know how they're going to pull that all out. I don't really know. I think.
Can I make we, after several meetings of inquiring and asking, so last year, and I'll be very direct, I got very uncomfortable the early part of last year, because I felt like we were always talking around, like we got this much of a grant for this and that much of a grant for that, and here's where we use this, here's where we use that. And I felt like we were getting lots of stories, but not always very specific information. And we asked a few times to see in accounting, where's the budget? And we finally got a 1-pager where they summarized everything, which was as of March 11th of last year. Now, the bathrooms at that point were not included in phase 2. But subsequent to that, the decision had been made and was communicated that we were asking the city to fund the bathrooms so we could move them into the phase 2 timing, so we could actually have bathrooms by this summer. I think phase 2 timing at that point was slated to go through June. So we needed the extra money. And then Chris, I guess, apparently was told we had that extra money, it was budgeted. And now we have the mystery of why we were told it was budgeted and it never actually made it into the budget. So that's something we'll have to try to parse out with the city council. There has been a concern around where has the money gone, where's the accounting, a lack of transparency, to the point that I was going to roll off this committee. I was very uncomfortable with what was going on. David talked me into staying on. And we went through a period of time where we either didn't have quorums or we're not having a meeting because we didn't have any new business to discuss. So I think there was a bit of a lapse in terms of updates and so forth. Then Chris, obviously we were able to get the city to fund Chris's position, get Chris hired in on board.
Yes,
Now
yes,
he's much
Gary.
more hands-on, trying to get things moving, getting stuff accomplished, getting programmatic things put into place. So I feel now we've got someone on city staff that's going to help us stay on top of this stuff and have accountability and transparency. So I'm just giving you guys all that by way of background. I wish I'd known this was being discussed, and shame on me for not looking at the city council agenda. Because I think a few of us, like Irene and myself, who've been on this committee for a while, could have provided some background that might have been helpful, although we don't know the ins and outs of the budget and the accounting and so forth. But I will say this, Chris, I understand wanting to get bathrooms in there, even if they're not great or perfect. I think doing the prefab and a single stall with a urinal in it on each side, I don't think anyone's going to be happy with that. And I know Arch Davila in the meeting had said, why don't we go back and look at an actual building like bricks and mortar, and can we get bids on that? And Eric seemed to think that might be even less expensive than the prefab.
Right.
It adds to our timeline, but I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there for discussion, is do we take a little bit longer but get a better result with that initial bathroom, knowing we'll have better ones down the pike? So I'd like to hear what everyone has to say about that.
Yeah, and I'd like for y'all to tell me what you'd like that to be. Now, whether we can do it or not is another thing. Not having it on the agenda and not discussing it falls squarely on me. So it should have been discussed. It sort of fall through the cracks because it wasn't originally part of phase 2. And then if you look in the budget book, in a CIP, it says $350,000 for bathrooms. It just didn't make it over to get approved. At the information at the time, that's what I had. Eric later told me that's what was going on. So, but not having discussions with the Parks Board is on me.
Well, it's not only on you, Chris. It's the fact that, we all understood, including you, that this had been budgeted. The city was going to fund this. And so the $350,000 bathroom, in my mind, is a lot nicer than the current bid, right? That Eric was able to get because he was having to go with a smaller price tag, basically.
You might have got another stall out of it. I mean, you might have got 3 instead of 2. Pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know about the brick and mortar, if that was a cheaper one. I believe this issue will be on next council's agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So
everybody can go.
Just trying to get input now, and then we'll definitely let Shalane know that was a discussion that we had during this meeting, and that's where we can go right now.
Okay, great. Darnell, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I know I sound repetitive here, but is there a document that has the whole project plan out? That means the finances, what's been approved, all of that whole thing, because the confusion will keep going unless that part right there gives a little bit more transparency. Is there an actual document that explains everything?
I believe we do, and I think in a previous year, when I first started, we shared that with, I don't know who was on the council then, about where this money's coming from and where the project is. I can get with Eric and see if we can get an update of where we're at now. And it was my mistake in saying, I'm assuming, which sometimes that gets you in trouble, that council's going to approve this and phase 2, and then we're going to go with the park being ready in December. But it has not been approved by council yet, phase 2. But you still have to plan, so when it is approved, you're not way behind on it.
And that's why I brought that up, because whenever I come to one of these meetings, I have to start over where we are. Right. And if I can see that on a document, like, okay, this was approved and this was not approved, this has the money there for it, this does not have the money there for it, it can actually go, okay, I can provide some substance into this meeting. So I really would like someone to bring some type of document and make it kind of visible to us so I can, at least look at that and at least try to upkeep it.
I believe that
Well,
was
that's a
asked.
great point, Darnell. And one thing I can do, I think getting an updated, like Chris suggests, will be very important because I'd like to see that. What I can do is scan the one pager I had from like March, and there's some other supporting material that shows some of the high level design, where the park is, like phase 1, phase 2, blah, blah, blah. I'll scan those things in, maybe tomorrow, Friday, and I'll send them out to you guys. So at least you have that. So that material will be a little bit dated, but at least you guys will have that as kind of a point of reference.
Thank you,
Go
Chris
ahead,
and Karen.
Irene, you got a comment?
Yeah, Karen, I was wondering if David got back to you about starting the foundation for donations yet? Do we have a 403, whatever it is, whatever that,
501(c)(3).
501c3. So
Do we
he said that he had submitted to the Secretary of the State, but never received any acknowledgement back or confirmation back, which I thought was a little strange because I submitted 3 different LLCs to the Secretary of State and got it back, within a couple weeks. So anyways,
oh,
I've communicated with Aaron, who's our attorney, to see if we can set up a meeting and just discuss and make sure whatever we do is kosher with the city. I want to make sure we do it properly and then get it set up. And it's an agenda item on here, but the other thing, and when we get to that agenda item, is if others have interest in being part of that, that would be great. Now, either Irene, you and I can set up a meeting with Aaron separately. Roger Chan had asked that we go through him to coordinate those meetings. But I've pinged Aaron directly because we were emailing her on something else. And we can at least get the facts or logistics of what they would expect from the city perspective, but then we can go ahead and file the paperwork and get the thing set up. So that's something we could really get going prior and have done.
I was thinking we could do a GoFundMe page for the foundation. People could donate there if they want to. What do you think of that? Anybody disagree or?
You have to be careful with GoFundMe. Usually they take off 20%, and that's even if you have a 301. So you do have to sometimes be careful with that. But you can set it up, and they might have something that because you are a 301 that they give you a lesser percentage. So, but I know I've had a GoFundMe for someone who was in a car wreck before, and they took off 20%. So, and then someone's showing some plans on the screen here. I don't know if everybody else is getting that, but all of a sudden it just popped up. It had finance.
I think Eric's presenting, so it looks like the bathroom plans.
Okay.
So Eric, I don't know if you want to unmute and take us through the current bathroom plans and bids that you got.
And there was the whole fund list a minute ago. I saw everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually hoping you guys would ask at the very beginning instead of going back and forth with a lot of it seems to be guesses, what could have, should have, maybe happened. I do want to say before I get started, you have a fantastic parks director there working with you guys. And from what I've seen out there, it's not difficult for an experienced parks director to find a job somewhere else. So please be nice to him. I'd hate to lose him, please.
Agreed.
On
Yeah, I agree.
We're being nice to Chris.
Need to kind of ease up a little bit.
Okay. So I'll go back to this line item. So back before this new committee was formed, and I know Karen was at the last part of the last committee, and I'm not sure who else, perhaps Irene. So the city staff, because of one of the council members, city staff brought to Parks Committee a very detailed list of the expenses. Every dollar, every nickel, everything that was spent was presented at the council meeting and also at the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting to show every detail from the very beginning when this project got started to include that the city at the time had hired a grant consultant, paid him a lot of money to get this grant. So including those dollars, every little bit of it, we're up to now $1.9 million that has been spent, and that includes, I'll have to look at the dollar amount. I think it's close to 1.9. Yep, that's where it is. So this is the agenda item that I prepare for City Council for next week. So you guys having a brief preview of that. So up to now, the city has spent $1.9 million. And it was spent in engineering fees, mitigation fees, survey, and obviously construction. And that also includes about $77,000 that has been spent so far for phase 2 engineering design for phase 2. Now that project has been designed, it hasn't gone out for bid yet. One of the reasons I held back was because there's so much pushback from the community to send it out for bid. And I wanted to wait until the new city manager came on board for the city manager and the mayor to get together and make a decision. Hey, do we want to even send this project out for bid? Because there's so much pushback from the community. Is it even worth it? So that's where we are at this point. I haven't been given the go-ahead to send it out for bid yet, so I have not sent it out for bid.
Eric,
So
can
regarding
you
the
the
expected
numbers? Okay,
When you
thanks.
say sending something out for bid, what are you talking about specifically?
phase 2 construction of the park.
Okay,
So phase
so
2
that's not
construction of the
just,
park has been signed. The bid document's ready to go out for bid, but we haven't sent it out for bid yet.
so that's still the same elements we had, right? The additional baseball, softball, phase 2
Everything is the same.
engineering,
That everything
trail,
is the same
playground,
as the
picnic
original
tables.
plan. Right.
Okay,
Everything's the same as the original plan that I sent you guys. The only minor detail, and I call it minor, it's become a big headache, was that originally the bathrooms were part of phase 3 construction. But because there was so much pushback when the phase 1 of the park was built, say, hey, there's a park out there, there's no bathrooms. Then the city manager, I just want to also clarify this one point. Chris and I work for the city manager. Pretty much every major direction that we get is usually comes from a city manager. Just something for you guys to remember. We do make some decisions on our own, but typically a lot of times on the big ticket items, we give the city manager options and city manager says, go with this one. So on this, on the park project, originally the plan was phase 3 for the bathrooms. However, during the budget process, the council said, no, we need to install some bathrooms for during phase 2 or before phase 2. So we went, so yours truly, I went out there and met with some builders to build on-site bathrooms. So they came back with, okay, well, we'll do it for this, approximately this amount. It was going to take a very long time because they have a lot of other homes that they're building. They weren't really interested. So when we came back to the city manager and said, hey, this is going to take, there's no way that these bathrooms will be put in place before phase 2 construction is complete. Because builders are just too busy, and the design process by itself is just going to take really a long time to just design it in-house. The other option was that we can go for a much smaller bathroom and do a prefabricated building. They do the design, they assemble, they build it somewhere else, and they bring it on site. It takes at the very most 90 days after their contract is signed. So city staff was given directions, hey, just proceed with this, with these bathrooms. And so we chose an option that would leave us a lot of money left over, thinking that in the future, phase 3, perhaps city council would be more interested in adding additional bathrooms to other sites on the park. And so we received bids in, and we were getting ready to award, met with finance director to determine the funding source and set up what we call a general ledger account. And that's when we found out, myself included, and the finance director included, we found out this $350,000 was part of the CIP, but it wasn't included in the funding line item. And there's actually a separate funding line item in the budget, separate from the CIP, that the city council uses, or finance department uses to balance the budget. Now, so sat down with finance director, we went and looked at what in the world happened, because it's in the CIP, what did happen. So, and I hate to fault the software, but this year we used a new software called Gov.
ClearGov.
It's called.
ClearGov.
Thank you. ClearGov, fantastic software. It's just wonderful. The downside is that when you put projects in, it doesn't automatically populate everywhere else. You have to manually do that. So one of the things that didn't happen was that human error, when this project was put in on one side, it did not get transferred to a separate line item in the budget so that it can be calculated for a balanced budget. That's plain and simple. That's the story, and finance director is going to be at the council meeting next week, and she's going to hopefully chip in a little bit more on that and discuss what happened. So this is the overall project list that you guys, or the project phasing and the costs that you guys see. It hasn't changed. The only thing that changed was that phase 3, park elements, bathroom concession stand, lighting, electrical, that $750,000, basically $350,000 of that became a separate line item by itself, and the intent was to make that during phase 2. Everything else is exactly the same, and you'll see that for phase 2 is calculated at 1.36 million. That does not include the bathrooms. It never did. It never was intended to.
Right.
And I'm not sure what the mayor is referring to, the bathrooms at $200,000. I believe those might be some notes from city staff trying to put the budget together, but they probably weren't meant to be made public. I think they have no more value than a sticky note, and that is unfortunate that those just became public and people are using those as a Bible, basically.
So Eric, do you
So
think
any
they were
questions?
trying to figure out from the rest of the phase, from the actual phase 2 budget, which you're correct, did not include bathrooms, they were trying to figure out, do we have a little money left over we could put toward bathrooms? And we didn't, the 350K didn't make it over to the actual approved budget, but can we kind of beg, borrow, steal funds from phase 2 or whatnot to try to help us get something in?
Right. And it's going to be determined once we get the phase 2 bid in. I'm hoping that $972,000 is a conservative number. That's my biggest hope. And there may be a little bit in there. There may be a little bit more than $284,000 if we're going to do some work in house, but it's still going to come in short. There's still going to be a shortage on that. So, and there was a question at one point, where did the $1.36 million go? It didn't go anywhere. It's still there. So it hasn't been used. That's one of the things that we told council is that you do have that money that you budgeted, $1.36 million. We can use that towards the bathrooms. And then when we get the bids in for phase 2 park, then council can make a decision on what they want to do. Do they want to proceed with phase 2? Do we want to put more money on it? Or is there something else that they can do? But as far as Eric going back to the drawing board after this storm to redo this, it's probably not going to happen for a long time. So I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Eric, thank you very much. Now I understand what's going on. I did not know where the money was. Now I know, according to the project, where that money, why we're asking for, where's the money for these bathrooms. Now I have no more questions about that, except will we actually get, can we see this document online or get any kind of, viewership of this document?
What document are you referring to?
Oh, the one that's being shown right now.
Yeah, Eric, I know Chris had said he was going to get with you and maybe get that budget and any of the supporting material you can share and send it so we can send it to committee members. So that way everyone has it. I've got my version, the one pager from March, but it's got a bunch of my notes on it, which I'm still happy to scan and send, because the package included some other information like maps and design plans and so forth that Eric and team had put together. So it's kind of helpful for the full group to have.
What's going
Go ahead,
on
Irene.
with that thing?
Huh? Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead, Deanna.
I will say, as a mom that will be at the sports park playing softball there, I would rather have something rather than nothing, even if it is something cheap. Just for reference, I know our softball field now is much smaller, but it only has one men's and one women's bathroom. And I don't think it's really been an issue. I mean, I know it's only one field and this is going to be bigger. Right now I'm at Town and Country in Cedar Park, and there's I think there's 3 stalls and a really crappy bathroom, and they have this place is huge. So for probably 5 or 6 fields, they only have a few bathrooms, and there's a million kids here. So just for reference, I understand the need for wanting a bigger one, but
Something's better than
I don't know.
nothing.
I don't know if there's like a swarm of people that have to use the bathroom, if it's more for sports.
Yeah, Town and Country gets hundreds and hundreds of people out there for those bathrooms.
Okay, you guys were asking about the line item on the budget. If you'll see that, you can find it on the city website. There's a line item here where hopefully everybody sees it. It says Lago Vista Park project, and this is a general ledger number that the finance department assigns to individual project items. It's 4580, 8243, and you see that 1.36 million right there for this coming year. So that's basically the list of the line item that city council approved. I'm not sure what council is reading during the council meeting. Say it includes this and includes that. I have no clue what they're reading. So it's something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but it's not something that was intended to be out there.
Eric, I was wondering in phase 3, that 750,000, was that all of that money was specifically for a bathroom, or is that for something else and a bathroom? Oh, concession.
So that's bathroom. So originally, I worked on a bid to include, I believe, I don't remember, Chris, you saw that the original one, which multi-stalls and a concession stand at the center of the ball fields.
Now, if they decide to make a smaller one, are they going to do you think they're going to, city council, take the money out of that 750 and then make?
Right. As of right now, the only thing that's been approved is $1.36 million. So the 750 is something in the future. It's an estimate. That's all it is. It's just an estimate that includes future basketball and concession, and also ball field lightings. Ball field lightings are big ticket items.
Yeah.
So basically, I think what you guys need to concentrate on is we have $1.36 million to spend this year. What we spent last year, it's already been built and it's been paid for. We have 1.3, and we've already received the $500,000 from Texas Parks and Wildlife for their phase 1. And so what we have for this year is $1.36 million, and we're still hoping that once it gets built, we'll get the extra $500,000 from Parks and Wildlife.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, well, thanks, Eric. So I will send out, like I was saying before, I'll scan and send you guys what I have over the next couple days so you can see it. You're going to see my terrible handwriting on it with notes. If it doesn't make sense or you want me to interpret my wonderful handwriting for you, you can just ping me back via email. But that way, at least everyone will have what we've got. And it looks like it's consistent with what Eric was just showing us on his budget, the one pager.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Yep. Look at this, where the bathroom is going to go. I did want to point out to council, but I didn't make my point across at all once I noticed that there was so much pushback. Chris and I really love this more expensive design that we received, and that is from a company out in Marble Falls. They do beautiful work. Unfortunately, they cost about $50,000 more than the lowest bid that we got. But I didn't even bother trying to make that point after that council meeting.
Well, I know as I was watching the recording, Eric, I saw it in there and I'm like, this isn't the one you're suggesting, but it does look better maybe. But I wasn't sure if you were trying to make the point like, hey, maybe we should consider this, but you never got to that. But that does look nicer than what I can tell from the plans and specs on that lower bid.
Right. Yeah, this is what we have. This is what's coming in the bid right now. Is that, which is still a good bathroom. It's just the other one looks like $1 million home bathroom.
Yeah, but that wood, you'd have to upkeep it. It'll get
Yeah.
like yucky after a while. So that's a constant maintenance.
And our bathrooms, just before I leave you guys, our bathroom do include a maintenance bay because our parks department really needs a maintenance bay out there. Otherwise, you're gonna have a shed somewhere in the middle of nowhere. It's just nobody wants to look at.
Yeah, we don't have any storage, so.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Well, Chris, you have my text message if you want me to get back online.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric.
Thank
I know
you.
you're
Great
you're
presentation.
here on meetings because you're supposed to be on the other one that's running concurrently. So thanks for breaking out of that one.
Thanks.
I think I closed that one. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. Any other comments on that before we move on to Denise, who's been very patient with us?
Should have gone ahead of me.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Darcy.
I was just going to let you know that you all are welcome to go to any of the city council meetings. They are actually an open meeting and you can attend any of those. And the next time this comes up will be next week. So next Thursday,
Are they
6:30.
meeting in person again?
Yes, no, it's all online still. They have several council members that probably won't go back to in meetings for a while.
Does it start at 6 or 6:30?
It goes on at 5:30. They come on and then they go into executive session. But if you log in at 6:30, that's when the actual meeting does start.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so no one's super excited about the bathroom that's planned. I think we all understand there's some urgency or desirability to have bathrooms in. Deanna made a good point. You know, it doesn't have to be huge and beautiful. It can just serve the
Functional.
purpose with the understanding that we'll get bigger, better, totally accessible
Yeah.
bathrooms in later that are part of the plan around where the concessions will go in between the ball fields. So, okay, well, good. All right, good discussion, you guys. Okay, well, Denise, thank you for your patience. We'll move on to speaking with you with update on KLBB and some potential areas of collaboration.
So I think I know most of you folks and y'all know me, but I am Denise Sellers. I am the president of KLVB. This is my second term in being president. And I have to tell you that we have upped our ante and we have close to over 40 people right now as active members, and each and every one of them are fabulous. I send out an email, I make a phone call, and they're there. They're doing things up and beyond, I'm going to say what some city workers that get paid are probably doing, like jackhammering concrete for 2 hours today. But we know some of the city workers do that too. But anyway, KLVB started basically collecting trash and working to get the recycling facility started here, which is, you know, your trash can type thing. And then we have adopted spots, which we have 16 of those in town. I think Shalene forwarded you that, so you all should have a list of all those areas. We have updated a couple of them. One of them is Paseo de Baca. We put in the cool little windmill out there and have done some rock work. And I think we're probably going to do a little bit more rock work in the future, but we're kind of like, I think, pretty close to done there. We put in the wind spiral at the what we call the roundabout or the inner at the dawn, at the end of dawn. And right now, everybody knows that Dawn Point has been tore up, and we're working on that and hope to have a really cool sculpture and some beautiful plants out there. we're hoping within the next 4 months, hoping, if we can get the plants in particularly, now that we have this lovely weather. But when Josh came to town, my husband, Dan, and I, we met with Josh to introduce ourselves to KLV, to Josh, and tell him who we were. And at the time, KLV was just working on one project a year, and we really had nothing for the future. And Josh says to us, guys, I'd like to see 3 to 5 years plans of things you want to get done. He says, and I don't mean just plant a bush here or bush there, big projects. So my husband, Dan, volunteered to be the long-term planning committee head of that. And our first thing I guess we did was finish up Dawn. And then we worked on the back side of the golf course and got their flower beds all redone. And now we're doing Dawn. And we have a few other things that we're thinking about working on. One is the corner of Loman and Boggy, right behind the convenience store. We're planning to get that also done this year, here again, if we can get the plants and everything that we want done. But we're also asking for you folks, if y'all can help us figure out other things that you or you hear the general public or citizens saying, hey, we would like this in town, or we would like that in town, in relationship to the things that KLVB can do, not the city. We will get the city to help us on times like we always have, but a lot of it will be done just by our volunteers. So I guess I'm really coming to ask you to help us come up with some real cool ideas. Hit your people that you talk to. Salima's real good about contact with people. You know, pick their brains and say, hey, what kind of cool thing would you like this group to come up with, and give us recommendations and suggestions, and help us out there if you guys can.
Denise, can I say something?
You bet, go ahead.
One of the things when I first got involved with Parks and Recs, I presented something like, I think 3, maybe 4 years ago now, I can actually like maybe find out, but was about community gardens. And I know that's something that a lot of people bring up because it's so hard to garden in Lago because of the deer and stuff like that. Is that ever something that you guys have talked about or discussed, would be a community garden project?
We have not, but I got contacted this last week from a girl, I think her last name's Paradise. And she's coming to our meeting tomorrow because she wants to present doing the community garden. She's only been here a short period of time.
Okay. I know that I presented to Jonestown about it last year, and I presented and talked to the lawyer about it for us, Parks and Recs, but it was like 3 or 4 years ago. But the problem then was she didn't understand legally how we would allow it to happen and people not get hurt. But to me, it seems like we would just copy what they're doing at Veterans Park and Cedar Park and Leander area. And it's kind of like garden's dangerous, garden at your own risk kind of thing. But I've also had like several people, and I think some of them are maybe involved with KLVB, Fran, and the people that take care of the gardens at the elementary school. So them and another family in town have actually offered up lots that they would just let the city use for this project. So maybe I can email some of that contact information that I've gathered over the years to you guys. But that's one thing that I can just tell you off the bat that I've heard for the past 6 years on repeat, is that people really, really, really would like a community garden. And it would bring the community together, you know, and we could all share recipes and stuff. I mean, clearly I don't need a plot, but I mean, I would definitely volunteer my time and resources. But I just thought maybe that would be something that, if you guys have thought about that, is something that I know just right off the bat that people are passionate about here.
Okay, yeah, if you can send me any kind of information, I'd love it. Yeah. And like I said, this girl's going to come and talk to us tomorrow here again. She's not had any experience. She just has seen that in other towns, and I've seen it in other towns too. And I think it could be a really cool idea, because she even talked about like you pay money to garden there. And I said,
Well,
well,
it's not really like you pay money to garden. It's like you rent a plot for the year, but that's just because if you have skin in the game, you take care of it, right? If you have something
Well,
for free and you don't take care of it, then the whole thing ends up filled with weeds. And that's part of I'll just send you, I have it all written out. There's contracts and stuff that you have with the people. Cause like I said, I've already presented this to this exact group 3 years ago and to Jonestown, and it's really easy to get going. And like I said, there's lots that have already been offered up to the city. And I'll just send it all over to you and y'all can do with it. But it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, it's the legality. I don't know if you could talk to the new lawyer with the city. I've never talked to her about it. It was the previous lawyer that I discussed with it. So.
Okay.
Well, you would think that if someone just does a release of liability or something, I didn't realize gardening was so dangerous, but
That's what I thought too, but she said that she was like baffled by it.
Yeah, there must be a way, because I know we've gone down to Milburn Park a lot over the years for soccer games or events or just to jog around there, and they have a nice community garden right there.
Well, and it's a way that you could have like garden classes and stuff into the city, and you could actually bring revenue for our park projects if we had a garden. Like, think about Lady Bird Johnson Botanical Garden, right? They actually have ag exemption classes from UT there and stuff like that that brings people in. I would much rather drive out to Lago Vista for a garden class than go deal with Austin any day of the week, you know, and that's kind of where people are at. And so you have all these people that want to learn about gardening now. I can tell you, I can show you my email box. I don't have time to do it, but there's this huge group of gardeners out here with this wealth of knowledge. It's almost like if you build it, they will come. And then this group would have a revenue to do projects like the bathrooms. You know what I mean? If we had all this, I don't know. It seems to me like it's a pretty cool thing that we can do.
That's a great point. I never thought of it as a revenue generator, but you're right. I just think purely from bringing the community together and, you know, that community aspect of it alone, it's well worthwhile. So
I've seen community programs actually do a sign up for people that want to learn how to garden, and they actually provide classes, like a summer program for, you know, either kids that are getting out of school and they need something to do during the summer, or parents or anyone else that wants to learn how to garden or keep up stuff during the school year.
And then I almost wonder if we could plug it into the FFA at the high school, which I know Ed is passionate about, and we have a lot of families interested, and have those kids this is their passion. They could come learn about it. I mean, where else in Lago can you learn about gardening and actually get your hands in the dirt? I can tell you, because I'm a farmer, it's so hard to find dirt and a place to plant out here that maybe it could be something cool as a gift to the community, you know?
Yeah.
Gift that keeps on giving.
I mean, and we just made it.
Can I ask this meeting?
That's a great suggestion. And like I said, this girl's going to come and talk to us tomorrow at our meeting. Yes, Chris, I know she's not our agenda. And, but yet we're, you know, we'll find out. But my first thought when she said it is, oh, we have to have city property because KLVB only works on city property. We don't have we don't own any of it. It's all city property. So we would have to have the city property, or like you said, if somebody's willing to donate some property. So anybody else have any thoughts?
This is probably for Chris and Denise, both of you guys. So the Overlook Park project, is that like us, our like pilot collaboration in a way? Can we work, we'll be working with you guys on that?
Are you talking about with the governor's award?
Yeah, that Overlook Park that Chris has said was going back to the redesign stage.
Yes, KLVB is involved with that.
Okay.
Right. They're a standing, well, I had to reform the committee, so they're a standing committee member. And we've also got one of my staff on that. And then also on the committee is Meredith and Aaron from our office, for someone else to give us a different look on what they'd like to see. Meredith's an artist, so she she has a good eye on things. She's the one that developed the logo for Sunset Park. I don't know if you've seen that, but very nice out there. So what we're just trying to do is keep things moving along, because as Denise says, the city is super slow, and we realize we're super slow, so we have to just let's move forward on that. So I will be presenting what our first concept will be for Overlook Park for you guys to have some input on that as an advisory council. But it's not actually in the city's budget, because we got the money from TechStop as a grant. But you still need the people to say, hey, I like this, or this is what we're doing, or spread the word. So
How big is it? How big is it going to be? Is it something people pull over in their car and get out and walk around, or
it's exactly not that.
not that?
Okay,
Okay, when you say Overlook, I thought it was going to be
Yeah, that was the original design, right? If people could pull in and there's a small trail.
You were going to pull in and get out and do that. And TechStop said, no, it's a beautification project. As you drive by there, you see it's where old 1431 runs through. So what you want to do is you want to make it, as you're going by there 55 or more miles an hour, that you're just looking at it and appreciating that we beautified a right of way. That was the whole idea. Was we were saying, get out and charge your electric car and come and go to this pavilion and overlook that. That's exactly what they didn't want to do. They don't want people. If you know where it is, you're coming up over a hill, and if you're trying to pull in there, that's not safe. So I'm glad you asked that, because that's what our original thought was, and they went, you couldn't be more wrong than that.
okay.
Again, I'm lost. Is there any kind of document that says of all the parks and what we're doing with them?
The KLVB adopted spots, there is documentation as to what they are. Shalene should have sent everybody that document. Have you not received that from her?
Yeah, she sent that.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. And that's just our spots, and we basically maintain them. And then when we want to like do the wind spiral, do the windmill, we go to the city and the city manager and the city council. We say, hey guys, this is what we want to do. We've got the money, or we need a little extra money. Will you help us out or allow us to do this? Because anything big other than planting some new plants, we don't go up and above that. You know, anything big, putting sculptures or anything, we have to get approval from the city to do that.
Yeah, the city gives KLVB $5,000, and we probably get back, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work. I mean, they put in over 2,000 hours a year. If you were to equate that to a salary, that's huge. I'm actually going to try to push to try to get them more money, because the more money that we give them, the better they make things look. So very valuable.
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you.
Couldn't agree more. You guys do a great job too. I love these areas when I drive by, or head by there. They just really are super, I think, super plus for our city, right? It's just someone visiting or coming through sees that. I know I've had family members comment on some of the areas that you guys have improved. So very impressive.
Well, that's nice to hear. Thank you. Yes, Dan.
Denise,
Go ahead, Chad.
how do you join?
Pardon me?
How do you join? If we wanted to join?
Call me, you send me an email, you give me your name, your phone number, your address, your email address. When you send me your email address, I will start zapping you with emails, and you'll think, oh my God, what did I do?
Okay. Awesome.
Because I like to keep my people involved and up to date. It's like I send out agendas, we send out the minutes. If we have work days, we send out emails trying to get you to work. I send out thank yous after work days. I normally have pictures. I sent out a picture saying, these are my great people. We like after the freeze, Backbone Nursery sent out a wonderful newsletter that told you about all the plants. what to do, what not to do. So I blasted that to all my members. So, it's not like I send you out an email every day, but I try to keep everybody up to date. We do meet on every second Thursday of the month. And when it's good weather and we're not under stage 5, we try to meet between City Hall and the library. We always accept and love new members. Like I said, we started back in like 2015 with maybe 7 or 8 members that were working, and now we got 30 and 40 people that are out there. So yeah, and our adopt a street, man, we just keep getting more and more people adopting streets and picking up litter. So, but I would ask you all, join us, or even here again, talk to people ask people from other towns. If you have relatives in other towns, say, hey, what kind of thing does your keep whatever, or what does your town have that would be cool for us to have here in Lago? And let us know. You can always find my contact information on KLVB, Keep Texas Beautiful site. We have Ann Ocho that is our media person, and if you go to ktb.org, you can see all of our work. She's done a great job, and we're in the process of even updating it more, so it kind of keeps you up to date on what we're doing.
Cool.
Miss Darcy?
Hi, Denise. Could you tell us, because I talked to you at the corner of Dawn the other day, you said that the fountain won't be a fountain anymore. Is it still the same design, the twistiness? Because that was the last thing that was presented to council, and I haven't seen anything presented since.
It just kind of comes up and tips over.
Okay.
And if we're not doing water, it's going to be like a chain with little things on it that will glisten, and it will simulate water. They'll be like silver and blue. Some of them I think will be shiny. Some will be like brushed or something in various shapes, is what we've been told.
Okay.
You'll see the storyboard up within the next week. We went to Vistago to have a picture of what the sculpture is going to look like, and we're going to put it on a storyboard so people can finally see, is the city through tearing this up, and are we going to do something? I think you'll be really pleased with what the sculpture is going to be. So looking for that on the corner. It's in Vistago right now being designed. Once we get it, we're going to put it up there so people have an idea what it's going to look like.
Perfect, thank you. And is there any cohesiveness to all the projects that you guys have planned that go back to the city charter? Because we got the city charter, which Karen sent us, and I actually read the whole thing. And I was watching, like how they told the city that they should do the buildings and all this other stuff. And so I was just wondering if your KVLBB has something that you're keeping everything kind of in the same theme. So it's like over here isn't like mid-century modern, and over here is neglected grandma's house, or you know what I mean? Because it's like you would think you want to come into the city and there's a cohesiveness about the city. And that's very important when you're trying to brand a city. Like our logo just changed. It's not the sailboat anymore. When did that happen? It's now a weird wave. And nobody can tell me when that happened. Nobody knows. And so that's another thing of the branding. Like I'm on the golf course committee, and all the branding for the golf course is still the sailboat. But then all the branding for the new park is the wave, and it's confusing if you want everything to be known as the city's, things that they're offering. So I was just wondering about that. Thanks.
That's kind of why we run things by the city, so they can, when we present something, they'll say, hey guys, not just the city manager, but by Chris, he gets to see it, and all the city council members, and they can say, hey, wait a minute, guys, this is kind of like not going in our direction, but so far they've liked what we did. because like the windmill was our first project. And that was kind of like, because you used to have windmills all over the place here years back because it was farmland. And that was kind of like saying, this is where we were at, but now this is our new future. We have windmills and we have artistic designs out here that look like water running. And we wanted the water running, but the cost was just, out the sky. We just could not see that we could spend that much. And then thinking of all the problems that you would incur with that. So we just said no.
The deer going
All right.
over there to drink out of it.
Well, when you have a drought, you can't run them anyway.
Exactly, right.
I was just wondering what happened to that cleared land behind the library. Did it become anything? What is it?
It's still clear.
Right now it's where they're putting the grass.
Yeah.
What?
They're all
We don't have nothing to do with it.
behind the police station and the library. That's
Yeah.
cleared off the brush.
It-
The brush is just going there.
I live there, Irene. I'm the one that complained about when all the trees came down. That's when I met Denise. Denise came to my property and looked at all those trees when they went down, and she was as shocked as I was. But now what they're doing is they're letting all the brush be dumped there, and supposedly they're going to chip. I hope it gets chipped because I can't breathe right now. I haven't been able to breathe since they started dragging everything over there because of my allergies. And I hope when they chip it that they give us a little bit of a time, because I'm going out of town when they do. I'll die because it's literally, the property is right across the street from my parking lot. So that's where the property starts. And I was going to suggest, one of the reasons I got on this board as well, and I was going to talk with Chris about this, was that little area is 6 acres, okay? Once they get the property for the other thing that they wanted to make the new green center, once they get that moved to the new property that they're buying, this property is 6 acres and it's at the perfect location for a little pocket park with, some picnic tables and maybe even a senior center or a community little center, and then do parks and because the land slopes like this. And so, but you could do like a track of walking, or maybe even for bicycles and kids, because it would bring people to the center of town where the library now is going to be expanded.
I vote for that, another park.
Me
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
Me
I
too.
would agree.
Have an
I don't know.
at the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty area, and there's the kind of go
Yes.
down in where that whole canyon area is down there that goes along
Right.
Outpost. It would be
It
nice.
was-
Yeah.
Well, you don't want a dump ground in the middle of town. And,
No.
and that was, I couldn't believe that was even brought up or put on the table.
Well,
Yeah.
And I thought we complained enough about that it
When
turned
we
into
asked
something
Josh,
else.
when we asked Josh if he even considered what the impact to the neighboring properties would be, his verbatim to me at the council meeting, I never considered that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you remember me? Because I was crying. I mean, I went crying with video and everything.
I told him you need to maybe find something else to do if you're not going to consider the impact of your decisions on the community.
One of the things that Karen was going to go over, I don't know if we'll have time, was part of what you guys are supposed to do is find parkland and parkland dedication, and
Oh, cool.
for us to grow and for us to get the facilities that you want us to have out there, we got to have some property. So I think
Yep.
that feeds into
Community
Yeah.
farm.
what what the actual charter says that the park advisory committee
Yeah.
should do.
Well, good, great segue, Chris, because that would be our next couple of items we want to discuss. So Denise, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Denise. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
Hey, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair,
sure.
Just if anybody thinks of anything, just let us know, because we're looking for, a lot of things, and I will check into the community garden and I look forward to seeing what you folks come up with next. Y'all have a great one.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thanks for all the work you guys do. And you're welcome to stay on and listen if you want, or you're also free to leave. So, okay. All right. So we're on item 4. We're only on item 4, an hour and 20 minutes in. But that's
Chairwoman, Karen.
Go ahead. Yes.
Hi, Karen. I just in public comments on that last item, if you please.
Sure.
Be recognized.
Sure.
Thank
Paul
you.
Roberts is recognized.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Mobley just raised a very interesting point about identifying property in Lago Vista for dedication, allocating to public use and zoning as parkland to be used by the public. I think my question for Mr. Mobley is, does the city have an existing list of parcels that have been deed restricted for that specific use?
I imagine we do. I don't have it, but it's definitely something I need to see as we start to go through this advisory council on. I mean, we're going to need a dog park and skate park and disc golf, and so yeah, I bet I can get with Chris, our GS guy, and say, okay, this is what the city owns, and then that's what we can go with, and if it's zoned for that's certainly something I need to find out.
So if I may submit to the committee and chair for your future agenda items, perhaps a discussion item, not an action item, but just a discussion item for the purpose of identifying vis-a-vis staff, Mr. Mobley, what those parcels are, where they are.
I think that would fit in the plan that we're supposed to do, wouldn't it be, Karen, as we start to?
Yeah. So one of our next couple of items are around what we're charged with doing, just generally what the committees are supposed to do, and then more specifically around the parks, and actually scheduling a special meeting, a working session where we can actually begin to develop a plan. And then we would, through our regular meetings that we have every second Wednesday, probably vote on outputs from that plan and accepting the plan or any specific action items that we have for the plan. So that's definitely going to be an agenda item as part of the planning for sure. I know the 2030 master plan has some information on current parks, and then I think some information on city-owned property. It may not be zoned as parkland yet, but could serve as potentially either they're going to build it out or they'll preserve it as green space that we could leverage for parks. And so that's part of something we also need to look at as we're providing input into updating and perhaps enhancing the city's master plan when it comes to the parklands. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. I'll just use the remainder of my 3 minutes. Mr. Mobley, what I'm thinking of in the back of my mind is if you add this as a discussion item, no doubt you'll be probably getting educated on these parcels and such coming into the meeting. And I know, for example, in the area where I'm at in Marshall's Harbor, I recall a lot that was dedicated specifically for recreation at the corner of Old Austin Boulevard and Shoreline Ranch. And that was part of the original PDD from Mr. Marshall in the transfer of property. So my point being is that I don't know. I think you're really going to have to dig to find that. I don't know what kind of resources are available to you to filter and identify those lots, but there might be some other little hidden lots out there. And even if these are in PDDs that exist, whether temporary, restricted, or otherwise, there's a potential there for getting something going on those. And I'll be happy to donate some more swing sets and get them on those. But if you get it going, it can help some of those developments along too. And as you've seen in Bowden's Point, where the city is utilizing these pieces of property, the citizenry no doubt embraces it and enjoys them.
Right.
So thank you for your time and thank you for what you guys are doing, all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get on to items 4 and 5. So item 4 was discuss our committee's establishment ordinance and committee responsibilities. So I sent all these documents out to you guys. We're not going to review these documents. I just want to call out a couple things on this is planning and reporting of the annual work plan of the committee. So, and this is for all committees, not just ours, right? At the beginning of the year, each committee will conduct a workshop to lay out objectives for the year that tie to the comprehensive master plan and create an annual work plan. And then every January and June, the committee chair will report to the city council the progress that we've made. So presumably that's a written report, and then we may also appear before the council. Objectives and priorities will be adjusted as required, I'm sure, based on feedback from the city council. More specifically, and by the way, when I told Shalane, wow, this is news to me, that we have this kind of formal reporting we're supposed to be doing or planning. But great, it makes a lot of sense to me. She shared that other committees have not been doing it as well. So anyways, specifically for us is that we, in tandem with Chris, will help establish a park and recreation facilities master plan, which can help guide the city in the acquisition of parkland as well as the development of park and recreational facilities, right? And Chris has suggested that we also consider recreational programming as part of what we're doing. So don't just think of parklands and amenities, but think of the programming as well, which I think makes perfect sense. And we've got folks here, you know, including Salima and Darnell and Deanna are actively involved in types of activities that we know we want to help promote and promulgate here within Lago. So I think to me, it makes sense if you guys agree, and we can discuss this further when we're actually planning to include programming ideas as part of that. And I know Chris's objective is let's develop a real 5-year master plan, right, for the Parks and Rec department. The other component is that we're supposed to be making a semi-annual report to the city. The first one for this year is due June. So I imagine we need to have it prepared sometime in May or by end of May. I can find out what the specifics are on this, but that'll be the next time we are supposed to report to city council. So kind of the way I see it is we've got a couple things going on. One is, first off, to begin to plan, right? Let's kind of coordinate with Chris on what that plan should look like and set our objectives for this year. And then secondly is when the time comes is to be able to actually report on what's happened year to date. And then, you know, here's how we've set up our objectives for the second half of the year. So to that end, you know, Shalane said it's perfectly okay for us to call a special meeting. We'll call it a working meeting, planning meeting, workshop, whatever we want to call it. That can be separate from these second Wednesday of every month meetings, where we can actually dive into some of the planning. Now, it'll be an open meeting, so we'll have a published agenda that we all agree. So let's make sure we coordinate on the agenda, which will be part of my job, to help coordinate on the agenda and be clear on what we need to prepare prior to. And then we'll have probably some outputs, potentially even some action items that we'll then want to bring into our regular Wednesday meeting agenda as discussion items and or action items. So I wanted to run that by you guys because one of our action items for tonight is to consider scheduling that planning meeting so we can get going on that. Because obviously we've already had a couple meetings this year. You know, I think by now everyone feels fairly well updated on a lot of stuff. The bathroom was new news for a lot of us tonight, so we've gotten through the bathroom stuff. But let's go ahead and get going on this stuff. I'm really excited about it. I know Chris is too, to get a plan into place in consideration of all these great ideas that everyone's bringing up at the meetings and start putting some structure around that. And then the other output of this is that the planning that we do and contribute into is then going to help the city with their update of the master plan. I sent you guys a 2030 master plan and tried to highlight all the areas where Parks and Rec were brought up. You know, it's not an easy read, but you know, they're looking to update it, I think, next year, right, Chris? So a lot of our output this year is going to help drive what's going into the new master plan when it gets updated. So
yeah, one of the things I definitely need to do, it can be conjunction with this right here, is develop a parks master plan that, you know, it deals with programs, it deals with, this is when we plan on doing this, these are what our priorities are. It's hard to know where you want to go if you don't have a plan. And most cities I've been involved with, we have a specifically Parks Master Plan. It'll tell you the programming, all those things. So my thought was, I met with someone, a group that does that, and I'm trying to get an idea about what that would cost. That would cost. So, but if it's something that we can do with this committee, maybe we won't have to spend the money. But a Parks Master Plan for 5 years, it'll run you anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. But it tells you exactly from citizen input, talking with everybody. These are the things we want to see. This is the order it needs to go in. It's just a nice roadmap for you to know where you want to end up in 5 years. So, but we maybe can do it in conjunction with this.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. So I wanted to, I guess, open that up in terms of scheduling this. Obviously, we need some time to prepare for it, right? So that we figure out what's kind of our first priority set of agenda items and discussion items. We know we have some preparation around making sure we're all clear on the master plan. Chris, you mentioned you'll try to hunt down and see if anyone is aware or has some record of those city lots.
Right.
I know there's a big map right there in City Hall, if it's still on the wall, where you can literally trace some of those lots they tried to buy up to create potentially trails and stuff like that. But anyways, we got some prep to do, so I wouldn't suggest we have this meeting next week, but we do need to have it before our next Wednesday meeting, I would say, so we can get going on it. So let me know what you guys think, and if you guys need to check calendars and double check, and we want to kind of coordinate via email on what that date and time looks like, let me know. We can certainly do that as well.
Are we allowed to meet in person, or will this have to be over Zoom too?
Oh, good question.
I mean, I guess I'm just like I do better if I can see and feel things, but not everyone is like that or wants to meet. But
well, I would normally agree with you, and we could find a spot probably where we could meet in person with, appropriate social distancing. I'll need to check, because right now all the city meetings are going on GoToMeeting and they're being recorded, and it's an easy way for the city to then post the meeting. So, and this has to fall under the open meetings. So I'll check on that.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse me, and also we are in part of Travis County, I believe, and Travis County did still insist on the mandate of the mask. So as long as we're in Travis County, supposedly we still are under a mask mandate until they release us. So that's according to law, apparently. But now the governor probably is going to come back and say, no, you're all free to do what you want. Who knows? But me personally, I haven't had the COVID shot, so I will not be attending. My dad died from COVID, so I will not be attending any meeting if I don't know that all of you have been vaccinated. So that's the only way that you'll see me again in person, except for something out at the open air market. If you got me outside, I can be out there with you. But if we're in a building, I won't be in a building until I'm vaccinated with anybody. So.
Yeah, no, understood. Yeah, well, it could be we end up, my sense is we're going to have to go with GoToMeeting. And then what we'll need to do is anything we prepared, it's either a soft copy that's whoever is presenting it can display and we could see it on our computer screens. Or if all you got is a hard copy item, just scan it in, and similarly, we'll just display it that way. The other thing that works well is that pulling stuff together and sending everyone out the materials ahead of time, so you have a chance to review and then can open it up on your own computer or print out your own hard copies, and that can help facilitate this. So I'll check on that. Any thoughts as to dates and times? I know everyone's busy, and this is already a big chunk of your time every month, but again, if you guys would rather wait and check calendars and get back to me on what looks good, I can kind of help facilitate some potential dates and times, and we can triangulate into something that'll work for everybody. Does that make more sense?
I can just tell you that Tuesdays and Thursdays, I teach dance all day long from morning till 8 o'clock at night. So those days I'm just not available, but anything else I can make work if you let me know. But Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm so tired. So sorry.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, makes sense. Anyone else have any days that are absolutely out?
Just the 24th of March. It's my wife's birthday.
Oh, all right.
I
Mark.
better not schedule anything on that day.
Good husband. Wife's birthday comes first.
I
Happy
know
wife,
we're like the second Wednesday, right, of every month, because that was a little confusing too in your last year's meetings. You guys almost every month were planning the next month and it was never following. I think Karen, you had said that you had POA meetings at one point. So I was listening to everything on your meetings, but I was just wondering, could we maybe like meet on a Monday? And then that way we're still fresh to go into the meeting on the Wednesday that we come back into this meeting.
It's not a bad
So
idea.
like we work on the park thing on Monday and then we come back into our meeting on Wednesday, whenever that next meeting is. So that way, if we come up with things while we're not all together, we can say, hey, I came up with this idea. What do you think on the following meeting? Or otherwise you're going to get, I'm very forgetful. I'm getting old. So I write everything down, as you could tell. And by the time I get back to it, I don't even know what it says. So, but, you know, it would be nice if we maybe like, we all met up to do about this park, and that way we would give Chris enough time to get all the properties together. And then Chris presents us that, and then we can, you know, and then come back on Wednesday of when the meeting is and do whatever else we need to do.
So you're saying April 5th, Monday, April 5th? That's the week of our next Wednesday meeting, which would be the 8th.
Our next meeting won't be till the 14th.
Yeah,
On the 14th.
that's what I thought.
Oh, 14th. Oh, sorry.
But the 5th is not a bad idea because that's
So
Easter.
oh, that's Easter weekend, yeah.
That's Easter weekend.
12th. That's a
Okay.
week after Easter.
Like the
Okay.
12th. Wouldn't that give Chris enough time? That gives him almost a month to get all that pulled together for us.
That'll work. I'll start tomorrow, and I'll just let you know how I'm progressing. I think Paul's got an idea. It's probably not going to be as easy, but I need to know. You need to know. Let's you know, let's start getting somewhere. And I'm appreciative that we've had a really muddy start, but I think we finally understand what we're supposed to be doing. We got people that are interested in it. We got a good council liaison. I think we can really, thinking we can be one of the standout committees, you know, of all the committees here. So April 12th, let's go. If everybody good with that.
And Chris, I didn't, if I made you sound or myself sound like I wasn't appreciative to you, I'll apologize to that because when I first met you.
No apologies not needed.
Okay, when I first met you on here and I heard your credentials, I was like, wow, how did we find this guy? Yay. I don't understand why you're not doing all of it. When you said that you're only doing maintenance right now, I was like, no, he needs to be our fearless leader. What is going on here? He needs to be the top of the park.
Eric has been very good about including me in on the things with the park. But I don't run that project, but he's kept me involved. So no, you're supposed to, hey, what's going on here? I'm a public servant and I'm here to serve the public, and this is what we do, and I understand that. So no apologies necessary. Y'all have been very nice to me.
Well, no, and I think, Chris, just having you on board, you know, first off, right, getting that Parks and Rec director that we did fight so hard for to get funding for, and the city council, you know, approved, which was great. And then getting someone of your caliber on with your experience and your knowledge base, we feel very lucky. So I feel good too. I think we've got a nice committee here, a good constitution, different viewpoints from the city. So, you know, everyone's bringing their ideas into this and their energy. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, good things coming.
Sure.
Hey,
Okay,
I don't want to actually.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you actually mentioned having an open session. Did we actually motion on that open session yet?
Nope, I was about to do that because if everyone's in agreement that April 12th, that Monday before a meeting,
At what time, Karen?
then I'll ask for a motion. to schedule our planning meeting
So moved.
on Monday, April 12th.
So
Okay,
moved.
Darnell. So move. Okay, do I have a second? Salima seconds. Okay, so all in favor of having our planning meeting on Monday, April 12th? Say aye. Raise your hand.
What time is it?
Well, that's our second motion, figuring out the time.
We'll move for that one too.
Yeah, let's vote separately. I would just wanted to get the date, make sure that worked for everyone. You guys, obviously people work or have other things going on, so do we do an evening time, like 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.? I want to time bound it so it doesn't go on forever. From experience with our POA board meetings, that can go on for 4 hours, right? So let's time bound this and get what we can done.
Help us with the council meetings then.
Evening, I'm assuming, although that means Chris has to stay an extra couple hours after his workday, but
No problem. I'm off on Fridays.
so do we want to do 6 to 8 p.m.?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so can I have a motion to have our
I'm
planning
comfortable
meeting
with
Monday, April 12th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. via probably a GoToMeeting? Would anyone like to motion?
So moved.
A second.
Shad motion. Irene seconds. Okay, let's vote on it. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand and say aye. Okay, all right.
Aye.
That looks like a majority. Great. Okay, well, good. Well, what I'll do is I'll follow up with a few things with you guys that we discussed tonight, including our date and time for our meeting. So we'll have all that to you guys. And just because we're not meeting till the 12th doesn't mean, we can't have discussions or make decisions or anything like that, right? We have to be within the meeting, but we can still be preparing information that we may need. We can still be reviewing stuff too. If you haven't already read the 2030 master plan, I would say read it in its entirety. It's really interesting, especially some of the comments that come at the end. Some of the things people were bringing up was pretty cool. But we'll have some other materials prior to help us prepare. And I know, Chris, if you and I and Shalane can probably coordinate, is there any additional information we can be putting together just to get out to you guys ahead of the meeting so you can refer to that and read it prior to, so we're prepared when we come in. And then obviously I'll, get input from you guys on the agenda for that meeting and how we organize it. So,
Okay.
All right, good. Okay, now our remaining item is item 8, Friends of the Park 501c3. We already discussed that. And I think we'll probably include that in our planning meeting, although technically it's not part of the city plan, but I hope to have spoken with the city attorney, but with Aaron by then. And potentially we've even submitted it to the Secretary of State. So we'll communicate with you guys on that. So I think that's it. I have here an item 9 for future meetings. Consider scheduling items for future committee meetings. Really the main thing for this is that our meeting is supposed to be at 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month.
Yeah.
Does that work for everybody? I just want to make sure, because we've got to get back to regular order on that.
I like that better. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that with everybody. Okay, well, good. So that's it. We've got our discussion items. We've got our action items. Does anyone else wish to discuss anything else?
I wanted to say, Karen, I think you're going to be doing a great job for us. I watched a bunch of videos from last year when you were on there, and you really seem like you keep a good structure. And sometimes I've been on a lot of these meetings where I'm one of those people that interrupts, and so I've gotten really good of raising my hand. And I just wanted to say thank you, because I think you're going to make a great chair, President.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Well, I'll be new at it. We have some formality with what we need to do. And in fact, Erin's going to visit with us during our April meeting and do like a half-hour training on Robinson's Rules of Order. And I've got a 1-pager, but she sent me some additional stuff, and I'm going to send that out to you guys so you have it. But even within that structure, I want to make sure we have really freewheeling discussions, right? Because everyone's coming with ideas and passions about different things. I want to make sure we're able to have open discussions. I really love the way the discussion went tonight, being able to get inputs from Chris and Eric and from Denise, that's what we need, right? Because we're the people who are going to help Chris kind of guide and make our Parks and Rec department one of the best, right? The best on the North Shore. And make it just such a great resource for our community. So I'm really excited with all of you guys, your interest in this and your passion for it. I'm really looking forward to working with you guys this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Okay. All right. So speaking of structure, I need someone to make a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second that.
All right. We have a movement to adjourn in a second. So we're hereby adjourned. Parks and Rec Committee meeting is over. So thanks, you guys.
Bye-bye, guys. See you next month.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good
Oh,
night.
see you at the meeting.